I am delighted to have this great honor of being here and having this opportunity to address you. I want to thank the National Commander. Thank you, Commander Barnett. I want to thank Verna Jones, your Executive Director, and Dewey Moss, aide to the Commander. And I want to thank a longtime friend and advisor to me, someone whom I am very grateful to, and that is your National Treasurer, George Buskirk. Most of all, thanks to you, all the Legionnaires here and across America. Thanks for your service in our armed forces. You wore the uniform, you took an oath, you put your life on the line to protect the greatest country on earth. Yes. There are some who may argue with that, but not around me. When you came home, you joined the American Legion, and by doing so, you kept serving. Just look at what the Legion does. You care for wounded warriors. You help raise the next generation of American patriots. I want to give a special shout out to Boys Nation, which meant so much to my husband when he was growing up. And when I told him I was coming here today, he said, "You've got to mention Boys Nation." I told him I would, but I also have to mention Girls Nation, too. I want to thank your auxiliary, the world's largest women's patriotic service organization. I was honored to receive the auxiliary's Public Spirit Award in 1997, and I have great admiration for the work you do. As the daughter of a veteran, as a proud American, I am grateful to you all. Now, I'm not going to talk a lot about politics today, but I do want to say this. Whoever America elects this fall won't just be our next president. That person will be our next commander-in-chief. And every person in this room understands how great a responsibility that is. Now, I know some of you are Democrats, and some of you are Republicans, and some of you are independents. I suppose there are some of you who've never voted for a Democrat before. I get that. My dad was a rock-ribbed Republican. But I learned at our dinner table that we can disagree without being disagreeable. And I want you to know, if I am fortunate enough to win this election, I will be a president for Democrats, Republicans, independents, for people who vote for me, for people who don't, for all Americans. That is what I think we need. We need to unify our country and go forward into the future with confidence and optimism. Today, I want you to know a little bit about where I stand and how I see the world and America's place in it. I spent 4 years as your Secretary of State, 8 years before that as Senator from the great state of New York, 6 years on the Senate Armed Services Committee. If there's one core belief that has guided and inspired me every step of the way, it is this: the United States is an exceptional nation. I believe we are still Lincoln's last, best hope of Earth. We're still Reagan's shining city on a hill. We're still Robert Kennedy's great, unselfish, compassionate country. And it's not just that we have the greatest military or that our economy is larger than any on earth. It's also the strength of our values, the strength of the American people. Everyone who works harder, dreams bigger, and never, ever stops trying to make our country and the world a better place. And part of what makes America an exceptional nation is that we are also an indispensable nation. In fact, we are the indispensable nation. People all over the world look to us and follow our lead. My friends, we are so lucky to be Americans. It is an extraordinary blessing. It's why so many people from so many places want to be Americans too. But it's also a serious responsibility. The decisions we make and the actions we take, even the actions we don't take, affect millions, even billions of lives. You know that. You've seen it. Now, all of this may seem evident, especially to men and women who have worn the uniform. You may wonder how anyone could disagree. But in fact, my opponent in this race has said very clearly that he thinks American exceptionalism is insulting to the rest of the world. In fact, when Vladimir Putin, of all people, criticized American exceptionalism, my opponent agreed with him, saying, and I quote, "If you're in Russia, you don't want to hear that America is exceptional." Well, maybe you don't want to hear it, but that doesn't mean it's not true. My opponent misses something important. When we say America is exceptional, it doesn't mean that people from other places don't feel deep national pride just like we do. It means that we recognize America's unique and unparalleled ability to be a force for peace and progress, a champion for freedom and opportunity. Our power comes with a responsibility to lead, humbly, thoughtfully, and with a fierce commitment to our values. Because when America fails to lead, we leave a vacuum that either causes chaos or other countries or networks rush in to fill the void. So no matter how hard it gets, no matter how great the challenge, America must lead. The question is how we lead. What kind of ideas, strategies, and tactics we bring to our leadership. American leadership means standing with our allies, because our network of allies is part of what makes us exceptional. No other country in the world has alliances like ours. Russia and China have nothing close. We stand with our allies because generations of American troops fought and died to secure those bonds, and because they deliver for us every day. Our allies share intelligence on terrorists. They provide staging areas for our military so we can respond quickly to events on the other side of the world. Other nations' soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines often fight side by side with ours. Some of you may have served and fought alongside men and women from other countries. You saw them in action. You know how important these bonds are to our security. Threatening to walk away from our alliances, ignoring the importance that they still are to us, is not only wrong, it's dangerous. If If I'm your president, our friends will always know America will have your backs and we expect you to have ours. American leadership means bringing the world together to solve global problems as only we can. The United States built the International Coalition Against ISIS. Now we're working with partners to take back territory and defeat them without getting drawn into a ground war. We brought the world together to impose sanctions on Iran and secure a deal that puts a lid on Iran's nuclear program without firing a single shot. You don't build a coalition by insulting our friends or acting like a loose cannon. You do it by putting in the slow, hard work of building relationships. Getting countries working together was my job every day as your Secretary of State. It's more than a photo op. It takes consistency and reliability. Actually, it's just like building personal relationships. People have to get to know that they can count on you, that you won't say one thing one day and something totally different the next. And it certainly takes more than trying to make up for a year of insults and insinuations by dropping in on our neighbors for a few hours and then flying home again. That is not how it works. American leadership means leading with our values, in pursuance of our interests, in protection of our security. At our best, the United States is the global force for freedom, justice, and human dignity. We celebrate our diversity as a source of national strength. Just look at our armed forces, which represents all races, religions, ethnicities, and yes, immigrants from other countries, all fighting for the red, white, and blue. We stand up to regimes that abuse human rights. We stand up for religious and ethnic minorities, for women, for people with disabilities. And we comport ourselves with honor. There's no better proof of that than what our Navy SEALs did during the raid to kill Osama bin Laden. I was deeply honored to be part of that small group advising the president. I brought to those discussions my experience as a senator from New York on 9/11 and my commitment to do whatever I could in whatever role I had to bring bin Laden to justice. You've all seen the picture of us crowded into the smaller Situation Room watching the video screen. Every second counted. One of the copters misgauged how high the wall was around the courtyard, clipped the tail, getting disabled. It didn't stop the SEALs from rushing out, getting into the compound, returning fire against bin Laden's bodyguards, taking on his adult son, and finally bin Laden himself. But the SEALs knew that they had to destroy the helicopter before they left. I was holding my breath through the entire operation, because at any time, Pakistani soldiers could have arrived. This compound was in a military garrison city, actually the home of their military academy. So yes, every second counted. But still, our SEALs took the time to move the women and children, bin Laden's family members, to safety before destroying the helicopter. That is what honor looks like. That is America at our best. Maybe the soldiers of other nations wouldn't have bothered. Or maybe they'd have taken revenge on those family members of terrorists. But that is not who we are. And anyone who doesn't understand that doesn't understand what makes our nation great. And let me say something else about American greatness. There's no question we face real threats and real enemies that we need to confront and defeat. But my opponent is wrong